Yeah, you're right about that. So I want to talk with you today a little bit about the stuff with Coach Muschamp, but and of course Georgia this weekend. And I listened to your podcast on the way in this morning, and I tell you what, man, I was kind of shocked by the fact that Georgia picks up that win. And you mentioned the padlock stat of they didn't really get much done on the ground, but man, JT Daniels was almost kind of a godsend for Kirby Smart over the weekend. Well, and that was going to be my next question for you is why why wasn't this done earlier? I mean, there's a section of the Georgia fan base that I'm sure that follow me, that follow you, and hit you up on your Twitter too. I mean, can you imagine the progression he would have had if this had been a little bit earlier in the season that he got to play? My next question. All right, but with that though, so Georgia will make the trip to South Carolina this weekend. Are we supposed to sit here and think that it's going to be the JT Daniels show, or is it going to be, hey, we're going to go back to a couple of weeks ago where we're just going to run the ball till we beat your brains in? Yeah, that is going to be an interesting game. And of course, Mike Bobo, the interim coach here at South Carolina, the defense for South Carolina looked a little bit better against Mizzou. And I understand that it's Mizzou, but after giving up, 169 points in 3 games, to give up 17 to Mizzou on Saturday night was almost refreshing. Well, I tell you what, interim coach Bobo would love to have you come to his team and tell them that, and maybe that would be some motivation for them. I don't know what the motivation is for South Carolina the rest of the season. I don't even know, with the way that COVID is and people can transfer in and out, who's going to be here next season. But there will be a new coach, and there's been so many names thrown around. If Ray Tanner called you and said, "Hey, I really value your advice," who do you think would be the best fit for South Carolina?
That about them, and I thought a little bit deeper about it. And this is independent of his back. I don't care about his back. I do not think that that's going to be anything more than fodder for headlines. I don't think it's going to impede his ability to win at his next stop. Okay. I have trepidation about Hugh Freeze as the man for South Carolina. I would have a problem with Carolina. I'd have a problem knowing that Carolina is probably not his end goal, probably not his final destination. And I want a guy, man. If I'm in the Gamecock corner, I want a guy who views our place as a dream job. I don't want him to come here and then me feel like a C5, where the better we succeed, the higher we climb, it's to our own detriment. So that means you're just that much closer to leaving us for the next rung up the ladder. You're high enough on that ladder. If you're Carolina, you're operating at maximum capacity, which as a job they are right now. There's nothing they lack relative to any point history. If you are of that stature, you need to find a guy out there who views your place as a dream job. Who, if you start winning 10 games a year, is willing to look at an LSU and say, "No thanks, I'm good here." And I don't know if Hugh Freeze is that guy. I do think Billy Napier would be that guy. I think they got a little ways to go to close their gap on money. Shane Beamer is a name. When you talk to folks behind the scenes, he's very polarizing. And it's not a character deal at all, but he's very polarizing in terms of people believing whether or not he's qualified for the job. There's going to be some inherent risk in all likelihood, regardless of who you take. There's going to be some inherent risk. I just hope, and I have no reason to believe they don't, but I hope they have the right folks qualified to make this decision that aren't so much worried about winning the press conference as they are winning football games.
And I tell you what, the big thing with a lot of listeners here is that Beamer was he was never even a coordinator. I mean, and what someone tweeted at me the other day, his own dad wouldn't give him a coordinator spot. How could he possibly be the coach for South Carolina? I don't know how that's going to work out, but I think that my pick for them was I don't understand why someone hasn't went to Wake Forest and tried to get Dave Clawson, who makes a lot of chicken salad out of dirt. Why is this guy not moved on to a bigger spot than where he's at Wake Forest, in your opinion? Right. Yeah, I'm stunned by the fact that of what he gets up there and what he turns out, and he hasn't had the opportunity to go somewhere else. Let me ask you about Clemson before I get out of here. Of course, Josh Pate from 247 Sports. Appreciate him making some time for us today. The incident stuff that happened last night with Coach Sweeney coming out and basically telling Florida State it's your fault, and if you want to play, you got to come to Clemson, or that we have no business playing there. That just the optics on that just doesn't look good. Josh Pate from 247 Sports joins us here this afternoon. Josh, tell folks where they can find your podcast and, of course, follow you on Twitter. Your podcast, by the way, if you're a college football fan and you're not listening, you don't know much about the game of Hut Hut. You really should be listening to what Josh is putting out there. But tell folks how they can find your stuff. You're welcome. All right. If you put that on a T-shirt, I get at least one. I just want one sent my way. There you go, Josh. Thanks for joining us on the rundown today, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Josh. Bye-bye. All right, there you go. Hey, Josh Pate joining us from 247 Sports. Appreciate him checking us out. Rundown's at 3 o'clock. If you missed any of the interview, I'll have it up there. All right, you can listen then. Thank you guys for checking out the show.